Hello everybody, today I'm going to show you my 6-speaker 2-channel system and I'm going to tell you how I set it up. But first I want to tell you how I came about this idea. I have been making amps and amplifiers, electronics, audio electronics for so many years, and I need to test them. So in my workshop I have multiple pair of speakers set up in one wall, in all one plane, and sometimes I test 2, 3 or even 4 amps at the same time. So I play 2, 3, 4 pairs of speakers at the same time, and then when I play more than one pair of speakers, I find there's sometimes different speakers, the tone mixed together, they actually sounded nice. They don't contradict each other, they sometimes complement, and they do contradict sometimes, but a lot of times they complement, so they sound kind of nice, and I didn't notice it, testing, no big deal. But then I moved to my toy house, and I have so many pair of speakers. In June, I did a video, I believe in June, and I did a video that was, I have almost 30 pairs of speakers and almost 70 amps and receiver and stuff like that, and I just got more. And what I'm going to do about those speakers. So I have put multiple pair of speakers in one room just for storage. And that's how this started. I started in the bedroom, said, well, you know what? I have a king size bed and this like suck up all the sound. And what happened if I actually put another pair of speakers using 2 amps to drive them and get more sound out of it? Because that mattress suck up a lot of sound, and my room is not that big really. It's 11 by 19, and then plus a few more irregular shape. That's the bedroom size, and 8.5 feet ceiling. And when I put an extra pair of speakers that sounds, I would say, brighter, actually more sound, because then more high frequency, the coming out from 2 pair of speakers, and the bedroom mattress is, the bed mattress is the best mattress, suck up a lot of high frequency. So that's another interesting experience, but this back burner, put it in the back burner. And then and when I try to set up this room, where you're looking at is where exactly what the listening position is, and I have put the camera right at the listening chair and about the height of the normal person sitting at that chair. So what you are seeing is what I am seeing in this room. And I initially set up a pair of opera speakers that sounds pretty good, but have enough bass. The room was more bare than now, but it's half okay. I was starting to set up and didn't have a lot of room treatment back then. But it's getting a little boring because I didn't want to spend a lot of time on listening in this room. So move on. Next pair of speaker. Next pair of speaker was a Unity Audio Fountainhead. Kind of difficult setup speaker, but once it got set up, it's actually sounded really good. But I have real trouble to set up that speaker in this room. Move on. Well, actually, that pair of speaker was stuck at this corner behind the two front speaker for a while, and then move on. AAD 7001. Next. Sounded good. Yeah. If I put against the wall, it have enough bass, but I lost the image depth. But I pull forward, I get image depth, but I have no bass. And put it closer, use it as a near field monitor as they intended to. Great. No bass. Well, light. So I was thinking about adding subwoofer. You know how cheap I am? I didn't want to pay for a subwoofer because a good subwoofer costs a lot of money. And cheap subwoofer are just cheap. They just boom. They don't bass. They boom. Thump. So no, when I get a subwoofer, I want to feel the bottom. I don't want to hear the subwoofer. So guess what? I'm cheap. I'm not buying a subwoofer. So thinking. I have 2 pairs of speakers. I have so many pairs of speakers. I moved the AAD Silver 7 from upstairs to this room. Hook it up. It was initially almost side by side to the 7.1, but it got so much bass, it loaded up the room, And then I start to do room treatment, more room treatment than before. I have foam at the corner now. I have more foam and more room treatment at the sidewall, a little bit more at the front. But the Silver 7 has 3 pots at the back. It's still thumb, it's still boom, but the amount of bass is there. So I plugged up the hole with foam plug, and I can manage to move back to the front wall where the album is, and I get a very, very tuneful bass, deep tuneful bass. And then I start to realize the Soundstage is actually getting deeper. Well, 2 pairs of speakers in approximately 3 feet apart. The forward speaker, now I'm calling it a front stage front speaker, because these 2 are front stage speaker. The other 2 black face Silver 7 are backstage front speaker. All 4 of them are front speaker, but a pair is a front stage and another pair is backstage. That's what I'm going to call them. So I'm getting really good Soundstage, and because of the height of the Silver 7, the mid-range, and the tweeter is higher than the 7.1. 7001. The 7001 is almost lined up to where you sit. It's actually a straight horizontal line up to the tweeter. The mid-range and the mid-bass are a little bit lower, but that is higher. So I'm actually getting a Soundstage just go up this way. Then I'm start thinking, yeah, have you actually listened to a lot of two speaker, 2-channel system, and the bass? Well, no, not the bass. The Soundstage. The Soundstage is kind of like go down this way. And I have heard a pair of $17,000 Canadian retail, $17,000 speakers designed by a German designer. They tilt up a little bit, tilt up this way. They're low, they tilt up, and then I asked the dealer why they didn't design that way. And explanation was they want to lower the speaker. They have a dedicated speaker stand. They have a lower the speaker, tilted up this way to lower the bass. Well, as the result, the Soundstage is even worse. They're on the floor. And we all prefer things. We have our preference. My preference is Soundstage image, which is width, depth, height, and everything in between. The relationship between each instrument and the relationship between the air between them. They're all important to me. Deep bass is a secondary. Yes, it's nice, but I prefer the image first before deep bass. Some people need bass before the image. And the image going down on the floor really bothers me. It's like, okay, that's a make or break deal. Just like if the speaker that's like designed that way with an image on the floor, forget it. I don't care. I would rather just get a roll-Q speaker that's sound not nearly as good, but I can actually have a high image. So then I'm thinking, yeah, okay, that's the recording. A lot of recording image is actually down on the floor. They're not on the floor, but they're kind of down way. It doesn't matter, the tweeter's up there. So by placing the tweeter and the mid-range relationship with the front about feet higher, actually give me that image that pull up. They are still recording. It's supposed to go downward. It goes straight back now. But they are recording this have an image actually straight in front of you. Now they go up. You can actually hear some of the symphonic music that you can hear the stage step by step by step, and the string instruments are there. The wind instruments are higher up this way, and the percussions are all the way up, and the choirs are behind that. And the depth of the image is improved a lot. I cannot tell you exactly how many feet or how wide, but compared to two speaker setup, it's a lot. And then I thought, okay, now I have a tuneful bass, but I still want a little bit more deep, tight bass. Then I go back to the subwoofer idea. But then again, my cheapness just came back again. It's like I can buy a JL sound sub or rail sub or even Velodyne. And a lot of those subs are designed for home theater. They really want a thumb. So I got so many speakers. I still have that Unity fountain head sit right here. And they are heavy, really heavy. In fact, when I moved it, I broke a footy, not mine, but theirs. One of the footies, and I got to replace all 8 of them with new stud. But once I move back there in the corner, which I will go to turn around and show you, it with the 10-inch slot-loaded woofer, I wouldn't call it subwoofer, but woofer, it actually gave this room enough bass that I don't want subwoofer anymore. Now I'm going to try to put another pair of full range speaker, just use the woofer section and put it outside and see what happens, but that's in the future. But right now I'm satisfied enough that I don't need subwoofer. And there are people actually hear the previous video saying like, is the subwoofer working? No, there's no subwoofer in this room. But you can hear a very tuneful, deep enough bass. Of course, you can always get a deeper bass, but it's deep enough that I'm satisfied. I'm coming back to actually spending hours and hours and hours and enjoying the music in this room. And that's a good sign. If you don't spend hours and hours and wanting to come back in the system and listen to music, you don't listen to system, but you listen to music. You want to come back and listen to more music in that system. It's not there. It's like that. You want to hammer some nail on the wall, and you dread to use that hammer because that hammer is not balanced on your hand. Then you're not going to do a good job of hammering the nail. So same thing. If the system is not right, you don't want to listen to music. The music is, yeah, you like the music, but it's not that enjoyable. But right now, it's enjoyable enough that I am satisfied enough to do this video to tell you how I set it up. Now, the trick is, well, okay, the trick about this thing is, there is no trick. It's just a little bit of common sense, and you need to have few pieces of equipment, and they're all 2-channel. I repeat that, all 2-channel. No need to buy new things. Well, unless first of all, you need 3 pairs of speaker. I know a lot of you actually have 3 pairs of speaker. And then you can actually use 3 receiver, 2-channel receiver, 3 2-channel integrated amp, because you need the volume control to turn it, to turn the level of each individual speaker, and all 3 power amp that have volume control input, or combination of that to drive the 3 pairs of speaker. And then preferably you have a preamp, and then you use that preamp to do the master volume. But in my case, I have the AG 2022, which have some extra feature that actually make this system sounds more fun that normal 2-channel system don't have. But I will cover it in the future. This is basically a 2-channel integrated amp, and I'm driving a 50-watt SP amp monoblock for the Silver 7. This amp driving the forward 7001, and I run another 30 feet of cable to the back and driving another stock off-the-shelf PA amp, which has a volume control at the front at this moment to drive the rear channel. That's it. The all 2-channel, no DSP, no digital stuff. And the beauty of this setup, as my point of view, is you use whatever you have. And if you need to buy something, you can buy used, and you can buy relatively inexpensive stuff. No need to buy brand new stuff. I am using old technology to do new things. So I'm not even selling you anything. Right now I'm going to get into sales mode, because I have this system set up. I want the way I want it. I am building a special amps / preamps that is 4-channel with speaker output, and then extra 2 more channels that have preamp output only to drive the rear channel, and have 1 master volume control. All channel have its own shape knobs. And if you want to know what shape knob is, I am putting a link of the video about the 4 volume control and other video about the shape knob, so you can understand what it is. Basically the shape knob is you can adjust the speakers so they can adjust the shape of the soundstage of each pair of speaker. So that's more toy to play with. And these integrated amps have shape knobs. So I can adjust the width and the depth of the whole system at this point. But the special amp that I'm building is going to have a separate shape knob for each pair of speaker, separate volume control for each pair of speaker, and then a master volume control. So I can just sit in a chair and adjust the level with remote control on all four of them, and then get the sound right without getting up. But that's convenience, and that's a special made item. Yes, if you want all the convenience and those special features, yes, you have to buy it from me, unless somebody else is making it, but I don't know who is making it right now. But otherwise, you can actually use just off-the-shelf 2-channel stuff. If you have extra 2 integrated amps or receiver, you can actually do it. You start with the two pairs of speaker at the front, and don't bother to do the rear channel until you have 2 pairs of speaker at the front. Otherwise, it will be just all-day quadrophonics. It's boring. And by the way, this is not multi-channel. This is not discrete multi-channel. Remember this. This is 2 channels only. There is no new technology, just a new way to use it. Now, I am also hooked up the rear channel at out of phase. And back in the 80s, and I believe it was David Harflow. I don't know he invented or somebody else invented, but I remember that I read something about that David Harflow has advice or suggestion that hook up the rear channel out of phase to get the sense of being in the stage. And in this 6-channel setup, it's a step or 2 ahead of that, because as it is, I can tell you the stage is very deep. Again, I can't use absolute numbers to tell you how deep it is, but very deep. Not so much about width. Width, it doesn't go beyond the side wall. The depth goes beyond the front wall, but the width doesn't go beyond the side wall, but it wraps around you. This speaker right now is about 1 o'clock. But if you set it up right, especially with the shape knob, you can make the soundstage width wrap around you all the way to about 2:30. Not quite 3 o'clock, but 2:30. You can push it to 2:30. Because if you try to push it to 3 o'clock, you have the tendency to try to turn and actually see what's going on. But as soon as you turn, you can actually hear things that come out from the wall, from the side wall. It's the effect of the rear channel and the front channel. But that sound come out from the side wall is not real. So I prefer all the way tune my soundstage or wrap all the way down to about 2 o'clock, and that's it, just stop right there. It doesn't go far left and right. It doesn't go beyond the sidewall, but it wraps around you. Is that a gimmick? Well, let me think. There's one person, after he heard it, he actually told me that before he came in, he thought it was a gimmick, but he has heard my design, he has heard my equipment many times, and he has a little bit of faith, I would say, my guess, of what I'm doing is not always a gimmick. So since he came in to buy some of the LP that I'm helping to sell from that state, and I asked him to sit down and listen, and he sat down for an hour and a half. I took a nap behind him for an hour and a half. And after that, he still didn't tell me he thought it was a gimmick before he came, but only after we did the video, he went home and we started talking, and he actually told me on PM saying, like, he thought it was a gimmick. He thought it was a gimmick before he came in, but after he heard it, he was impressed enough to just ready to tell the world. So I don't blame any of you thinking this is a gimmick, because nobody's doing it. You might always ask the question, why nobody is doing it and I'm doing something that nobody's doing? That's another link of the video, why I'm doing what other company cannot do. That's another video that you can watch and understanding why. Because one of the biggest reasons is I don't have a marketing department. I don't follow the trend. I try not to watch any other YouTube video or anything out there. If I do, it's just like, okay, it's contaminated my thinking. But that's beside the point. I'm going to show you my setup with approximate dimension, and then I'm going to turn around the camera and show you my rear channel, and I will end this video from there. And I promise you that I will have update for this system because I am still tuning the room. The speaker position I'm going to stay put for now, for a while, until I actually manage to actually tame down the room. The room is tame enough, and that's another advantage is when I'm using 2 speakers for this room. The room has a lot to do with the sound, but when I'm using 4 and then 6 speakers in this room, the room acoustic have a lot less to do with the sound. That's another thing that the person that's saying a gimmick before he came in saying that it's like when he walk in, there's echo everywhere, and see, you can hear it. You can hear echo everywhere. It's not supposed to be a good sounding room, and it wasn't with 2 speakers. But as soon as I put 6 speakers in there, that problem not eliminate. I don't know that actually eliminate, but it doesn't bother you anymore. You can actually hear the good soundstage, good bass, good image, almost everything that an audiophile wants. Don't want to say that, but that's kind of what it is. But the ultimately is you haven't heard it. I can enjoy the music very much without thinking what to do next. I always do that, but when I'm sit down having my breakfast, having my dinner, I just sat down and listen to music. Yes, I have food in my mouth that kind of maybe block up some of the hearing, but I can just enjoy it. Anyway, I'm going to show you approximate dimension of this setup. And again, you can do it yourself. And now I'm going to add that again. It's like these speakers, all these speakers and these amps and the amp that I use are by no means inexpensive. But at this point, I can be proven wrong in the future. But at this point, I don't believe that you need to use expensive speaker. This speaker, all 3 pairs of speakers put together back in the 90s and the 2000s, together they're about $20,000 retail price back then. But I have big speaker right there above my head, big enough that's like 5 times the cost at retail price at that point. I never get the same satisfaction as setting up 3 pairs of speaker compared to that. That big speaker, it takes total of 8 channel to drive, need a big room, a lot of treatments. I have tried to get the sound right, which it does sound really good, really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot, but that's a lot of work. And I don't believe one bit that I can put that big speaker in this room and have the same amount of enjoyment. And that's the point. Regardless of price, now the price has a factor in it, but regardless of price, I can see having 3 pairs of speakers, 6 speakers, running 2-channel system will give you more satisfaction by buying 1 pair of very expensive speaker. And the amps that go with it. I don't know how much the amps actually have in the equations. Now, I do know that there got to be some, because you cannot use a pair of Fidelity Research or Magniforce and try to put them together. Vivid back from the break times. I'm not talking about the other company, Vivid from Europe. Those kind of speakers, I don't think you can put those speakers and put it together and get the same sound. You might get the same similar effect, but the sound might bother you because they just don't sound very good. They sound annoying to begin with. When you put some speaker that sound annoying to put 2 pairs, are they going to annoy you more, or are they going to cancel each other? Now that's another thing is, there will get some point that 2 speakers will cancel each other. So you got to prepare to move your speaker a little bit and get yourself to tune it so that one big enough spot for your listening position have good sound. And you have to accept that in some point and some location in the room, it's going to sound weird. I can tell you that if I put my head right in between the 2 pairs of speakers at the front, you hear some out of phase information. But when you sit in a position at the camera you won't hear it. Anyway, I am going to show you where I put my speaker. Can you see? Okay. So this is the listening chair, all from reference from center point. Now you can see the room is only about 19 feet long total, approximately 12 feet wide. And I have this speaker very close to the front wall and about 4 feet apart. And this is about 10.5 feet between the rear and the front stage front. And they're very close to the sidewall. Any people just look at it will just tell me they are not right. The ratio for all the dimensions are not right for this room. But I think in a multi-speaker setup like that, we can forget those rules for a little bit and start experimenting. And at this point, this setup and with this location and dimensions is very satisfying. Are they going to be right? Well, really, I don't care at this point. Right or wrong is not the matter at this point. But I just like this setup so much that I'm very satisfied. So you can pause and look at the dimension and use that as a reference and to begin with. And I'm going to turn the camera around and show you the rear channel, and after that I need to shut the camera off because we're getting long. It's almost half an hour. Now I have to take the camera off the position now, so bear with me, it'll be shaky a little bit. I'm going to turn it to the left. See, there is the rear channel. Now, if I turn to the right, it's going to have a big bright light, so I'm going to move back a little bit and turn to the right. That's my right. So, there is the rear channel. Put it back in the position. And I am going to shut off the camera now. Until then, stay safe. Bye.